medal doesn't mean a lot to me personally. It means a lot to me that I was sort of selected as one of the representatives of that day in somebody's mind, and peers, subordinates, supervisors, that I did something special. But I did that as part of the team, whatever it is that I'm accused of doing.
On August 3rd, 2006, Warrant Officer Willy MacDonald found his platoon under fire while trying to take what was known as the White School in Afghanistan's Panjwaii district. Willy, as he is known to friends, was one of 14 soldiers who found themselves outnumbered against what was estimated to be 200 Taliban that day. Chaos reigned, a non-stop hail of rocket-propelled grenades and machine gun fire on top of extreme temperatures made the battle extremely challenging. W.O. MacDonald exposed himself to danger and risked his own life to come to the aid of his injured captain, John Hamilton, and other wounded comrades. By the time the day was over, many were injured and 4 soldiers were lost: Corporal Christopher Reid, Sergeant Vaughan Ingram, Corporal Bryce Keller, and Private Kevin Dallaire. W.O. MacDonald has been recognized for his selfless courage that day and received the Star of Military Valour on February 13th, 2009.
Simple plan. Frontal attack, nothing we hadn't done before. So we figured, very high chance of success. Let's get this cleaned up in, half an hour, and go home. Once the second portion of the assault group got to the objective, in the process of doing that, Private Kevin Dallaire was shot. He received a gunshot wound, and so he was down. And in sort of the confusion that ensued, nobody really knew that I was still kind of left behind with the machine gunners. And the RPGs that were coming down the road was every sort of 5-6 seconds there was another rocket-propelled grenade coming down the road. And the small arms fire picked up to a tempo that was just something that I hadn't seen before. And I'd been in, Captain Hamilton and I both had been in many, many gunfights up until that point. So I grabbed the machine gun team. We ran across the field. Essentially, we got there unharmed. I'm not sure if it was a volley of RPGs or a recoilless rifle round or a single RPG round. There was one round that struck sort of on the northeast side of the objective and that we were occupying, and it essentially devastated that whole side. Sergeant Ingram was extremely, mortally wounded. Corporal Keller was killed instantly, and Private Dallaire Kevin was injured even worse because in bandaging his wounds, we'd taken off his body armor, and as well there was another 4 or 5, including Captain Hamilton, who ended up with some pretty severe injuries from that particular blast. There was smoke everywhere, and it's like a movie. Mm-hmm. And I could hear Captain Hamilton, yelling over, "Hey, we need help. You got to come help us." My side of it is it took me forever to make a decision to get over to help these guys out, but Captain Hamilton's side of it, he'll tell you, it was a matter of seconds. But essentially, I crossed the open area between the 2 buildings under fire, which anybody that left those buildings was under fire. So sort of anyway, in the ensuing immediate aftermath, Captain Hamilton and I were trying to get the defenses organized. Like I patched them up and as best as I could, and we started trying to get organized and think and get people, back into reality. In the same time, Captain Hamilton was trying to get through on the radio and tell the colonel, we've got 3 dead, we've got 6 or 7 wounded, if you don't come help us now, we're all going to die.
With 3 men dead from a bomb blast and several injured, the enemy continued to advance and close in. Captain Hamilton's cries for help on the radio were not unheeded, and nearby Master Corporals Tony Perry and Matthew Parsons banded together to assist. They were crew commanding light armored vehicles, LAVs, and drove them down a road littered with IEDs and mines under heavy fire to pick up the men.
They showed up, and they pulled in as close to these two buildings as they could, dropped the ramps on the back of the vehicles and said, start loading up, we got to get out of here because we're almost out of ammo. I think back on it, and I just go, man, it's like the hand of God reaching down and saying, I'm going to take care of you guys today, because those two guys coming there and doing that was just, had they not, we would be dead.
How often do you think about that day, Mike?
Every day.
Yeah?
Yeah, every day it crosses my mind in one way, shape, or form. I think about it because a lot of really good lessons were learned that day, personally, and I'm sure organizationally as well. But I think about the really good things that people did. I think about the bad things that happened, because I don't think we really did anything wrong as an organization that day. I think it just boiled down to bad luck, maybe a little bit of misplaced confidence, and it was just a bad situation. It was one of those 1 in a million situations that you find yourself in.
On November 20th, W.O. MacDonald will receive the Vimy Award in Ottawa. It is the first time a non-commissioned officer has won the Vimy. Willy now speaks about his experiences at high schools and military gatherings and continues to work alongside Captain Hamilton.
I'll be honest with you, I've been given and afforded some excellent opportunities to inform not just the general public, other branches of the military, believe it or not. Spoken at several high schools about some of my experiences, and I think it's one of those things that, to me, it feels like I have a responsibility to get the stories out there. And I mean, if you talk to Christy Blatchford, she'll tell you she felt a responsibility to tell our story, and that's why she wrote the book 15 Days. And I feel that same sort of tug of responsibility.
Yeah, we have a very close relationship. I would say the ideal officer-NCO relationship. He complimented and still compliments to this day myself very, very, very well. And I like to think the same back. I'm very, very, very proud of him, the work that he's done, and every award that's been given to him, he's deserved, and then some.
It was hard when John got flown away, in the helicopter, and it was funny because, and I say this is funny, and when we unloaded him from the vehicle at the casualty collection point, and we were sitting there, and we got an IV put in him and put another dressing on, checked the tourniquet and all that I put on him. I took a cigarette out, put it in his mouth, and lit it, and it was just like, I thought to myself at the time, this is so Hollywood, but I didn't know why I did it. It was like an automatic thing. But I remember when John was being taken away, and I thought, am I going to see him again before the end of the tour? And as chance had it, we saw each other on the ramp ceremony, which was really somber, and I carried Sergeant Ingram's casket that day, and it was tough to look each other in the eyes and not sort of have that need to find an outlet for breaking down, and then that was the last again that I saw of him until I got home. So,
like I said, very fortunate to be back together again, and go cause some mischief again there. So.